ABC Sports welcomes you to Kentucky Speedway as the Indycar Series takes the grid. Rookie sensation Danica Patrick has pole position. Can she get her first win? And Indianapolis 500 champion Dan Weldon joins her on the front row. With only 6 races remaining, the championship points battle has many of the IndyCar jockeys battling for position. This afternoon, they are ready at the starting gate. It's time to make a move. In the final stretch run 2 weeks ago in Michigan, no one could make a move on Brian Herta. The Andretti Green driver made open wheel history when he joined his 3 stablemates as an 05 winner. But now each has their own points turf to protect. Riding highest in the saddle is points leader Dan Weldon. In the first 5 races, he was the man on the move. 4 wins, including the Indianapolis 500. Winless since, he must now tighten the reins in this championship derby. On the outside looking in is Sam Hornish Jr., 78 points back, along with Tony Kanaan and Dario Franchitti. Each has cracked the victory lane whip, but none can afford to make any more wrong moves. Rookie Danica Patrick is looking to move back towards the front. This start at Michigan eventually resulted with blown hopes and an early exit. Today, she is the pole sitter and hopes to make her starting position stick for 200 laps and a visit to victory lane. The Amber Alert Indy 300 moves towards green next. And welcome to the Bluegrass State. We're in Kentucky at Kentucky Speedway just outside of Cincinnati for Firestone Race Day and ABC's coverage of the Amber Alert Indy 300 presented by GPS. And hello once again, everyone. I'm Todd Ayers on a very hot and balmy day here in Kentucky, but the racing should be fantastic. Big story, Danica Patrick back on the pole for the 2nd time this year. Now, qualifying was washed out on Saturday, so Danica had the fastest practice time, a 2:17.7, so that gives her the pole position. Dan Weldon will be joining her on the front row. The Andretti Green team, well, they are the 4-headed monster, and last week in Michigan, the 4th member of that team got his first win in Brian Herta, and Brian Herta is quite a story. Quite the Iceman on the track, but off the track, that's a whole different story. We'll give you up close and personal with this very interesting young man from Valencia, California. Right now, let's send it down to Jack Arute for more on Danica Patrick.
And one thing you can count on, guys, Danica Patrick is always on the move, breaking female records, and now it's 2nd pole for you, Danica. But when are you going to close the deal? When are we going to get the record that I know you've been searching for, and that's a trip to victory lane?
Well, it's it's something that I definitely try for every time I'm out there. I promise you I want to win more than anybody wants me to win, so we do everything we can, but bottom line is the reasons why the guys with experience win is because they've got experience, and I'm just lacking, so we need to, we need to get that together, and as well as the fact that we need to make sure that car is fast, and I think this weekend is better than it has been in the last one, so I'm happy about that.
Good luck, Danica.
Thank you.
On the move is Danica Patrick. Dr. Punch, for her, though, it could be said that today is deja vu all over again.
Exactly, Jack. And points leader Dan Weldon will share the front row with her today. And the last time we saw these two, Dan and Danica, well, the late laps of the Indianapolis 500, she passed him, but Weldon came roaring back to take the Indy 500 win. We are being told from the Ray Hall Letterman camp that today could be payback day by Danica Patrick. What a day, these two battling out in Indianapolis, and Dan Weldon, she could get even with you and make open wheel history with the win all in one day. How do you stop her?
Well, Danica is obviously a very talented individual, and she's been quick here all weekend, so I expect her to be strong. But certainly I'm going to be trying to get into the lead as quick as I can, and you know, we'll see what goes on from there. But I want to give a shout out to Darren Manning, who we're missing not having in the Indy Racing League right now. But you know, this series is very, very competitive right now, and I'm not sure that I want to predict what's going to happen. But you know, hopefully the AGR boys will be up there.
You talk about wanting to lead early. She's determined, very determined, as much as we've seen her. You're aggressive. Who leads lap 1?
Whoever crosses the start-finish line first. That's a difficult one. I mean, you know how I am, and I think everybody else out there does. I like to try and lead if I can, but we'll just play it by ear. There's obviously a championship to take care of, but I think winning races is obviously a good thing for me. That I'd like to try and beat Hornish's record of 5 wins in a season, so we'll see.
Okay, good luck today. But the best man or woman win. Let's check in upstairs with Todd here. Todd?
And we're back. Sorry if you see it breaking up a bit. There are torrential rains in New York, but we're sticking with it. And right now we're joined by Brian Herta, who anxiously awaits to get in his car. Brian, you've been the developmental driver for this Andretti Green team for a while now. You've helped all your teammates to victory lane. What was the difference 2 weeks ago to finally get you there?
Well, I tell you what, I knew my turn would come on this team, and when they created this 4th entry to keep me on Andretti Green, it was just. This is the team I want to be on. I'm having a great time. I'm glad I finally got that first win for XM and for all the team, and hopefully we get a second one here in Kentucky.
All right, Todd?
All right, thanks, Jamie. We will try to rectify these problems in New York City. You are watching ABC's coverage of the Amber Alert Indy 500 presented by GPS. We'll be back in a moment.
Tonight at 7, 6 Central, an all-new 2-hour Extreme Makeover Home Edition. Then at 9, 8 Central, the premiere of the world's wildest new series, My Kind of Town, followed by Desperate Housewives. It's all tonight, starting with a new Extreme Makeover Home Edition at 7, 6 Central. And our apologies for the breakup in video. Torrential rain in the New York area caused a breakup in transmission, but we are good to go once again, and I'm glad to welcome my colleague, a man who won the pole here back in 2000, Mr. Scott Goodyear. Scott, let's talk about Brian Herta. First of all, a very impressive performance, maybe an unlikely winner 2 weeks ago in Michigan.
You know, anytime you have a great car, there's a lot of pressure on the driver and a lot of pressure on the crew to do things right in the pits, and they excelled last week. And I spoke to Brian earlier, and he said, it was nice to get that win because now everybody in the team has won a race this year.
Well, we move forward now to the present day. Danica Patrick on the pole. This is a place I don't think many people thought she'd get the pole. She was fast in practice. Can she make it stick?
A very hard racetrack to master, and something Sarah Fisher we talked about on the pole here in 2002, and she's done a great job to get that through the practice time. I think she's got a great, strong chance today.
Let's talk about 2 things quickly. The weather is going to be a factor, but you like Team Penske here.
Penske, it's like Sam Hornish. When he came out in the racetrack, he looks like he's very strong here. He's close to home somewhat in Defiance, Ohio. There's a lot of pressure on him, a lot of fans here, a lot of I Love Sam stickers around. I think right now, without a doubt, Team Penske's running strong, and Sam seems to be getting better each race, and I think he's eyeing another championship.
All right, we are almost set for the most famous commands in all of racing as the fans continue to file into Kentucky Speedway. They're expecting some 60,000 people plus here, and that's really a credit to the race fans in this great Commonwealth because it is hot, it is humid. Reports down the track say the track surface somewhat around 130 degrees, but there you see the temperature, 87 track 130, and partly cloudy. 30% chance of rain, humidity at 58%. It's now time for that great command, and for that we join the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Governor Ernie
now,
Fletcher.
Race fans, it is time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here to give that command, please welcome the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, Ernie Fletcher.
Ladies and gentlemen, unbridle your spirit. Start your engines.
And we thank you for watching Firestone Race Day here on ABC's coverage of the Amber Alert Indy 300 presented by GPS. Well, this track has a rich history of winners and pole sitters. First off, the winners. Adrian Fernandez last year, 2004, got the victory. He is an owner this year. And we also want to send out a get well soon to his father, Adrian Fernandez Sr., who went through open heart surgery. Sam Hornish Jr. has won here. Buddy Lazier has won here twice. Now, the pole sitters, also an illustrious group. Danica Patrick, of course, this year. Buddy Rice last year. Sam Hornish. Sarah Fisher has the record. Who'd she take that record from? My partner, Mr. Scott Gear, who had it in 2000. As you look at the Amber Alert starting grid going off the top of your screen, there you see Ryan Briscoe will be starting 13th, Koski Matsura and Elio Castroneves rounding out the top 15. Should be a great day, but we've talked about the track. It is tricky, to say the least, as we send it down to pit row one more time before we go green with Jamie Little.
Well, Todd, what a week it's been for four-time Indianapolis 500 winner A.J. Foyt. He was attacked by killer bees last weekend. Over 200 bee stings. He said he saved his life by jumping in a creek. On a lighter note, they switched from Toyota power to Chevy power, and A.J. Foyt IV is starting 12th, his best start in the last year. Dr. Punch?
Well, Jamie, let me introduce you to Kara and Flynn Lazier. This is the wife and 6-year-old son of today's 8th-place starter, Buddy Lazier. Now, sadly, the majority of Buddy Lazier's 8 wins occurred before little Flynn was even born here, so he's never gotten to experience a celebration in victory lane. This morning, he told his dad, he said, now that I'm old enough, give me a victory and a memory that I will never forget. So as you might expect, Buddy Lazier is indeed fired up. His mission today, quite simple. Win one for Flynn. Jack?
Well, Doc, I can't tell you or predict who's going to win this race today, but I can tell you that whoever goes to victory lane will probably have to have dealt with compromise. They'll have had to make certain compromise out on the racetrack. They'll have had to make certain compromises in the cockpit. And Scott Goodyear will probably have to make a few compromises on pit road as well.
They certainly will, Jack. You know, and that brings me to the keys of the race right now. One of the biggest things here is the bumpy track. The ownership has done a great job of trying to make it smooth, but I'll tell you something, it is bumpy. We'll get onto that later today. Second one is consistency. A fuel run here of a lot of laps. The car has to be strong for you all the way through. Otherwise, you're going to fade back. We'll watch for that happening today. And the third one, pit in, pit out time. There again, the access lanes are bumpy here. Drivers have talked about all morning. I got to get in and get out very quickly to make sure I have a fast pit stop time.
All right, let's take a look at our onboards. There you see we are on board with Thomas Schechter. He is in the very back because of a motor change, so he'll be starting 22nd. This is Jacques Lazier, the 10 car for Target Chip Ganassi, starting 17th. Koski Matsura, number 55, starting 14th. And we have a few more onboards as they make their way down the back straightaway. There you see Danica Patrick warming up the tires. Dan Weldon on the outside. Now this is the critical zone we talked about, the restart zone, the go zone. Danica does not want to get jumped here. The pace car will pull down. And they accelerate. They are off like thoroughbreds in the Bluegrass State. And a filly leads the way. Got to be kidding me. Tony Kanaan coming all the way up on the outside. Danica may have led on the first turn, but it's Tony Kanaan now who takes in the... Scotty, he went from 5th to 1st.
How many times have we seen this guy do this? He really is Superman. He gets the job done here. Wouldn't have thought that in a million years.
Betting against Tony Kanaan on a restart is like hitting on 20 in blackjack. Kanaan, your leader. Weldon goes to 2nd. Danica Patrick slides into 3rd. On board with Danica Patrick. She is not out of trouble yet. Sam Hornish Jr. is trying to find a way around her.
As we ride along with her right now, though, you can make sure you watch her steering wheel and her hand. She was actually starting to do some work inside the cockpit, telling you that she's making some adjustments on the car already.
Dan Weldon tries to go to the low side as we ride on board with Danica Patrick, his teammate Tony Kanaan on the outside. And these two have raced in close quarters before. Here's Sam Hornish Jr. on the back of Danica Patrick, the number 6 Penske car, trying to get a run on the outside. And Scott, you see the outside is where it is less bumpy.
A little smoother on the outside from what all the drivers are saying since I drove this track a few years ago. A little bumpier on the low side. Right now, there's a little battle going on for the lead. And there you see Weldon on the low side. See how he drifted up into Kanaan's lane? Those bumps there are cause of that right there. Both those guys know it. You have to make way for each other going through the turns.
Side by side at 214 miles an hour, and it's Dan Weldon who edges ahead of his teammate Tony Kanaan. Kanaan will slide into a slipstream as they come through one more time. It's Weldon, the Indianapolis 500 winner, who moves to the lead. Kanaan in second. Danica Patrick doing an amazing job of holding off Sam Hornish Jr. for third.
When I asked her this morning, she says, I just want to get a good start. I don't want to fall back because I've been up here before. Remember, this is a great start for her. When she's been up front before, she's fallen back to 7th to 9th, sometimes 12th. This is a great run for her right now as Sam Hornish is having a look on the outside.
As Weldon leads, Hornish gets around her at the start-finish line. So Hornish inherits third place. Danica Patrick seems comfortable to slide behind him, do a little drafting, but she seems to really like that low side. And we know that Sam Hornish Jr. loves to run up high.
Rahal Letterman had some strong cars here last year as we're riding along with Danica right now. And in her mirror, she'll be looking for the 17 of Vitor Meira, her teammate, who's starting to close in on her as the laps start to click off.
Let's check in quickly with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, in the morning practice this morning, Bobby Rahal's driver here, Danica Patrick, had a problem in the final practice session. She ran over a wheel gun on pit road, and that put some dents in the skirt and a hole in the under tray. That all had to be repaired from the final practice until the race beginning here a moment ago. Because of that, they have told her, find a hole, don't be too aggressive early on, find a nice comfortable spot and ride for a few laps, and let's see how the car is going to work. Remember, the under tray is the downforce portion of the car. It had to be repaired here early on this morning.
Right into the pole. Is it pressure enough as we get a look at Thomas Scheckter, number 4? We talked about him starting at the very pack because he changed engines after qualifying. But look at the move this guy has put on. Thomas Scheckter has gone from last as he has moved all the way up, and his position now has improved greatly. But right there, Scott, looked like he had a moment. He's currently sitting in 15th.
Looked like he was trying to get around Briscoe at that moment in time. Ended up just getting a little bit of high, had to go down a gear, and now he's trying to dispatch Brian Herta on the left-hand side. Scheckter said today, he says, I have a great car. I want to move forward. His teammate, Thomas Engay, said, I'm starting with him. We both changed motors. I know I've got a strong car, but since that crash in Kentucky, I'll just have to try and settle in. I'll try and keep up with my teammate. Not sure I'll be able to, though.
Number 3, the red and white car on the inside is Helio Castroneves. He has just made a move on the rookie, number 33. That is Ryan Briscoe. And look how close they are racing here at Kentucky. At over 213 miles an hour, they are going tip to tail as your leader continues to be that of Dan Weldon. Tony Kanaan in second, and Sam Hornish Jr. now starting to push them at the front of the pack. Throughout practice, Scott, this really has been the class of the field. Danica did put down the fastest practice time, but Sam Hornish Jr. can drive the wheels off that car, and Dan Weldon in the last practice this morning was unbelievable.
You know, you think back to Danny at the Michigan race, the last one that we had, how he was driving so possessed. Seemed like he was going to get to the front or he was going to crash. Moving cars all around the racetrack, including his teammates. Didn't seem like a guy that was worried about points, Todd. But right now, he's actually out in front, has to settle into a pace. And remember, 200 laps here, a long time to go. He said this morning, maybe I have to start thinking about points just a little bit more.
Right now, the front of the leaderboard is all Andretti Green with Weldon and Kanaan going 1 and 2. Vitor Meira is a part of the Rahal Letterman team. Then Dario Franchitti sits in 5th. So Andretti Green right now has 3 of their 4 drivers in the top 5. And you are looking at the 11 car of Tony Kanaan. He is the defending IndyCar Series champion, running behind his teammate Dan Weldon, who is the defending Indianapolis 500 champion. Number 14, that is Anthony Foyt, or A.J. Foyt the fourth, as we like to call him. Big changes this week for him, Scott. He leaves Toyota and goes over to Chevrolet, and A.J. has run as high as 9th. Started 12th, now running 11th.
Found himself in the middle of the field in qualifying time, but you know something much improved, obviously, since the Toyota.
And there is one tough hombre. A.J. Foyt, as you heard Jamie Little report, stung by more than 200 killer bees on his ranch down in Hockley, Texas, and he survives. That is one tough fella. We will catch up with him a little later on in our broadcast. 15 laps complete, and Dan Weldon leads them with Tony Kanaan just off his back right reel at 213 miles an hour. The temperature's going to rise as we go side by side. Welcome back to ABC's coverage of the Amber Alert Indy 300 presented by GPS. You are watching the anti-Ambien. This is Indycar racing at its finest with Dan Weldon out in front on lap 21. Tony Kanaan behind him in the beauty of side-by-side. You saw Dario Franchitti make the move into third. Now Danica Patrick slid right up there with him, but Scott, she seems to be drifting back now as she sits back in 6th place as we go on board with Danica Patrick.
Watching her on board, she seems like she has problems in turns 1 and 2 down there on the bumps. 3 and 4, she seems to be running just a little bit stronger, and that's the turn that we're in right now. Not much throttle modulation going through turns 3 and 4. Still coming off of there, 210, 12 miles an hour through the front section here, going into that 14-degree banking, headed forward.
And the problem with Danica Patrick, guys, I commented a moment ago, they had to repair the under tray, and right now Danica is battling a significant understeer, exactly what Scott Goodyear was commenting on. When she makes a pass inside a car, and she goes beneath Vitor Meira, her teammate here, she has trouble keeping the car on the bottom of the racetrack. It slides up across the track. It will not turn in the corner.
There you see Danica, number 16, Vitor Meira, her teammate on the outside, which Dr. Jerry Punch was just illustrating. There's your leader, number 26, Dan Weldon, the Jim Beam Klein Tools, part of the Andretti Green Team. And look at number 11, Tony Kanaan. He is used to being up front. Let's take a look back at the restart. Watch Tony Kanaan's move here.
All the way from the inside, the green and white 7-Eleven car, then to the outside, and Vitor Meira was headed that way. Now watch across the front bow right now, Scott Dixon's car. Pardon me, excuse me, coming through the momentum for Vitor. Looked like he was headed that way before Kanaan sliced in front of him, Todd.
Tony Kanaan has a penchant for making quick moves at over 200 miles an hour. He is 3rd in points right now. As we said, he is the defending IndyCar Series champion. He has 1 win this year in Kansas, looking to turn it around here in Kentucky as we check in with Jack Arute.
But Scott, as you watch Tony Kanaan battle in the sandwich in his Andretti Green's race team, he is going to the outside of Dan Weldon, not by design. Remember me telling you it's going to all be about compromise. When Tony Kanaan tucks his nose beneath the Jim Beam car of Dan Weldon, the problem is the car gets very unstable. He radioed to his crew to let Dan Weldon know he's not trying to take the lead. I'm just trying to find some clean air. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Jack, last week the Marlboro Team Penske efforts tested here at Kentucky Speedway. Their #1 focus for Sam Hornish and Helio Castroneves was trying to make the car consistent over a long run. That's exactly what they did. They feel very comfortable. After 30, 35, 40 laps, this car is going to be very consistent. So watch, the longer they run on the green, oh, problem on the racetrack.
Problem in 4, Doc. Problem in 4. Car is smoking. Something is let loose as they come out of 4 and they shut it down, and that is the 9 car. Scott Dixon's engine has just given up the ghost.
10-4.
Now he did a great job of getting up in the high section of 3 and 4, getting off the racing line, and then kept it up there until the coast was clear, getting information from the spotter and looking in the mirror, and then went across the track and smartly brings it into the entrance to pit lane.
Well, what's great about that, Scott, is he keeps debris and oil off the track, so this will keep the yellow time down. It does not look like he made contact as we watch it one more time.
Riding along with Brian Herta, just a little puff of smoke. The driver senses that. You see some oil or moisture coming onto Brian Herta's screen there, and Brian Herta smartly goes underneath and gets away from him. That's not the type of car wash that I think he had in mind when he pulled in, Todd.
Brian Herta, as you pointed out, smartly goes low. Scott Dixon, a former IndyCar champ, smartly takes it up high and then takes it all the way up the track. Sam Hornish Jr. comfortable now in 3rd, but moments ago, comfort would not be the word I would use.
Started to take a run on Kanaan, and then he starts to get that little bit of a wiggle. Remember, that air coming off Tony's car is disturbing the air going over the wings of Sam Hornish's car, and that little bit of a wiggle, I bet you Sam's heart rate hardly even went up.
Let's check in with Jamie.
Well, Todd, very unfortunate. Scott Dixon, his 2nd week in a row, starting on the 2nd row. Mike Hull, was there any indication there was a problem there with the engine?
No, nothing from our side. No indication from Scott. Just one of those things today. We just aren't going to be able to finish the race.
We know 2 weeks ago, Michigan, you guys put in the new engines. Was this that new engine?
Toyota's constantly working on the motor. They're working really hard for us, and today we aren't able to show what we've got.
Tough break for Scott Dixon, number 9. But they do have 2 more cars out there, the Target Chip Ganassi team. Of course, we have Buddy Lazier, or Jacques Lazier, Buddy Lazier's brother, is back in the field, as well as Ryan Briscoe. Todd?
All right, thank you very much, Jamie. That's a very unfortunate turn of events for a guy who won the championship in IndyCar Series a few years back. Scott, as Jamie asked Mike Hull that question, there's really no indication on something like that.
No, you don't really get an indication until that very moment it starts to go a little vibration in the car itself, and then you actually put your foot on the clutch, put the car in neutral because you don't want the rear wheels to lock up just in case the motor actually starts to seize up.
Let's check in with Jack Arute.
Well, as expected, the leaders are all going to pull down onto pit road, a 60-mile-an-hour speed limit. Dan Weldon will be at the end and pit out. Right behind him will be his teammate. That's the 7-Eleven car of Tony Kanaan. They have the longest run. While other people dip inside for service, it will be the top three that will be the farthest out. Because all of a sudden now, Andretti, Green, and Penske have come to work. Expect no changes on the leaders. They like their cars. That, of course, the AGR team. And all of a sudden, first away, will it be Tony Kanaan across the stripe, followed by Franchitti, and Weldon lost precious spots on pit road, fellas.
Well, that's something we don't see very often. 22 cars all coming into pit row at the same time. And Scott, that was one of your keys to the race. Pit in and pit out. And we've got a wheel loose on the track. This is not a replay. Dario Franchitti has lost the right rear tire.
Remember, we saw that last weekend with Ryan Briscoe after the pit stop. A lot of pressure on the teams. He did not hit anything.
Okay.
Now, what he wants to do, his mindset right now in the car, Todd, because it's going along like a tricycle on two wheels, he wants to get back into pit lane, get the wheel back in the car, get out on the tail end of the lead lap, does not want to go down a lap. Honestly, it looks like it's slow, but he's pedaling that thing as fast as he can go.
Well, the safety concerns of that wheel, which weighs in excess of 200 pounds, coming off the car at more than 60, 70 miles an hour. Fortunately, it was on the inside there, and it was no one near the fans. Watch this.
See, he looks like he's starting to slow down there. The car that's on your right-hand side, he feels something already. The right rear actually starts to go off across the grass. No grip there, and, you know, going up the road like a tricycle. A great save by Dario Franchitti. Probably a little damage to the under tray here on the right rear.
Here he comes down the lane, and that's actually a bicycle, because he's not even on that third wheel as we check in with Jack Arute.
Well, Todd, it's going to be costly for Dario Franchitti. He's going to have to pull back down onto pit road. Now, here's what happens in these sorts of scenarios. With the single lug nut, what happens is it goes onto the lug gun, and you're supposed to just make the switch. But unfortunately, as they now change the Firestone Firehawks again for Dario Franchitti, sometimes it doesn't go all the way to the lockable side, and it can vibrate off loose. We'll show in a little while with our cutaway car exactly what I'm talking about.
All right, thank you very much, Jack. So Dario Franchitti is back up and running, and we'll have to find out how damaging that incident was for the 27 car of Andretti Green. Stick around, still much more of the Amber Alert Indy 300, 33 laps complete on ABC. And we'll be back with more after this message and a word from our ABC stations. You're watching the Amber Alert Indy 300 presented by GPS.
We are still under caution here at Kentucky Speedway. Dan Weldon, it was your leader, came in for service as well as his AGR teammate. But for Dario Franchitti, his other teammate, problems on pit road. We were talking about the single lug nut that attaches wheels to these Indy cars. Well, when you completed the exchange, the lug nut goes back on and you spin it. But here's the key. If you look real closely, there are spring adjustable locks. If you don't get the lug nut far enough on for those locks to come in and pop up, well, you'll have what happened to Dario Franchitti exiting pit road, and it will be costly. Wheels and loose wheels has been a story for the last couple of weeks here in the IRL. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
That's right, Jack. 2 weeks ago, it was Ryan Briscoe's car. Unfortunately, though, a crew member took the brunt of that loose wheel. You take a look at this dramatic video footage, and it was Josh Junge, Patrick Carpenter's outside rear tire changer. Now, Ryan Briscoe, you're looking at footage of the big crash in Michigan 2 weeks ago. Now here you're looking at Ryan Briscoe coming down pit road. His wheel comes off. Keep in mind, they're going 60 miles an hour. That's Josh Junge, took the brunt of that wheel, of course, having no idea where it came from at the moment. He had a concussion. He tore his MCL, pulled his hamstring. Guys, the good news is he's okay, and he was saved thanks to his helmet right here. And we go back to racing.
All right, we are one lap to green, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Mr. Ernie Fletcher. And Governor, good to have you with us, and thanks for hosting us in this beautiful facility.
Well, Todd, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I want to say thanks to ABC as we do this Amber Alert Indy 300. It really is a great cause, and we launched a War Portal Amber Alert here in Kentucky today, so it's a great race, and thank you, Todd.
Well, the green flag comes out, Governor, and you can help us out here as they come around one more time at your beautiful facility. It's Tony Kanaan and Vitor Meira, so the Brazilians go 1 and 2. And the crowd here today is fantastic. What a great day.
We've got outstanding 60,000 folks or better. It's a beautiful day here, and we're just so glad to be sponsoring this Amber Alert Indy 300, Todd.
Well, the Bluegrass State has a special place in my heart. This was the first place that someone gave me an opportunity to work in television, and my first son was born in Kentucky. So,
you know, we call it the state of unbridled spirits.
There you go.
Obviously it's where people can reach their full potential.
There you go. We appreciate you stepping by our booth and joining us for moments.
Thank you, Todd.
On a great day of racing here at the Amber Alert Indy 300, and our thanks to the Governor of Kentucky, Ernie Fletcher. So we're 39 laps into this great race on a hot and humid day. One yellow flag has come out, and that was for Dario Franchitti when he loses the wheel. Jack Arute explained what happened there. Jamie followed up with a great story on what happened when wheels come out. And Tony Kanaan has capitalized, Scott. Once again, Kanaan has put himself in a great position. Now his teammate is in second place. The guy who really needs a win here, and I know they all want to win, but a guy who needs a win is Buddy Rice, number 15. He was the winner of the Indianapolis 500 last year, but since then, Scott, luck has not been on his side.
Getting a little bit of heat right now from Thomas Scheckter, who, remember, changed the motor and started at the back. But I asked Buddy this morning, what do you think your chances are? He said, you know something, the car has improved. Remember, they ran very strong here last year, but, you know, he loves going back home, working on his hot rods, opened up a go-kart shop. He is just a racer, and you can see it in his eyes that he certainly wants to have an opportunity to have another win here shortly.
As we ride on board with Thomas Scheckter, the number 4 Panther Pennzoil car. Here's a guy who really turned his fortune around. But Scott, what's the name on the steering wheel? We've talked about this before.
Right there, part of their fan club that they actually have. You can log on to Pennzoil Panther Racing and log on for an opportunity to get to races through their team. A neat concept that they have, and they entertain fans on all cars at each event throughout the season. And that's, I think, is just a great idea, concept they came up with.
And if Thomas Scheckter wins, the name on the steering console, Mary Coons today, she gets a trip to California to the final race of the season. Well, our Toyota lap leaders, no big surprise here. It's all Andretti Green with Dan Weldon leading 27. Tony Kanaan gets 14. And right now, Thomas Schecter's got a nice little battle going with Buddy Rice as they battle for that 5th place position. But it's Kanaan, Weldon, Hornish Jr., and Meira, the top 4. And this is the 9th race Kanaan has led this season. So he is really Mr. Consistency.
Mr. Consistency, remember, completed every lap last year, but this was the first time that he actually had a couple of DNFs so far this season.
Toyota on the move graphic, and Thomas Scheckter, and that's why we've been focusing on the 4 car there. He started way in the back of the pack, and he moved all the way up, currently running in 5th place. He's moved up 16 spots, Scott. I know the Chevrolets are good, but making an engine change the night before the race has got to be something as a driver you don't want to do.
Well, he said, you know, we can win from the back of the field here right now. Whoa, we talked about those bumps before. We talked about that bumpy track.
Save.
That low line is so bumpy. Washed the car up, and that was a huge save. Man, that's when your heart starts to get going right now, as Scheckter takes the opportunity there and moves himself up into 3rd and sets himself up on Andretti Green. You know, there's been a lot of talk in the garage area in the last little while about the dominance of Andretti Green, and everybody seems like they can't get themselves past it. They think they can't beat him. But here's one guy, Todd, in that yellow car, Thomas Scheckter, that says that ain't the case.
You want to rumble in the jungle, you put Thomas Scheckter and Dan Weldon head-to-head, and these are 2 guys with unmovable wills. And it looks like we'll get a chance to see that here momentarily as Scheckter is starting to move up. Kanaan leads. You are riding aboard the South African Thomas Scheckter. I don't know if he believes in the white line rule. He'll go wherever he needs to go to get this car past the leader.
And you saw him go down the low side there again. A little bit of bumps in 1 and 2. Started to move the car up on the racetrack. And here comes Weldon. Look at that. Just a slice of time, and he goes in front.
So Dan Weldon gets the pass on Tony Kanaan. They are interchangeable at this point, as you saw moments ago in our Toyota lap leader graphic. They have shared the entire bulk of the 48 laps run thus far here in Kentucky. Weldon has now led in 10 of the 12 races this season. He did not lead at Richmond or Nashville, but everywhere else He and Tony Kanaan are always at the front, and now add Thomas Schechter's name to that. Weldon moves to the front. Kanaan in second. Schechter sits in third. Who will change now? Will Kanaan make a move? Will it be Schechter? Stick around and find out. More from Kentucky after this short break. Dashing Danny Weldon. He is an Indianapolis 500 champion, 27 years of age. This guy is some kind of driver. Scott, you said that at the beginning of the year, he certainly said that was the one race he wanted. Well, he got it. Now he's looking for a championship on the Indycar Series. Join us next Sunday as the Indycar Series heads to Pikes Peak International Raceway for the Honda Indy 225. Now, there's only 5 races left to decide the championship. Defending race winner Dario Franchitti's already had his problems today. Can he straighten them out at Pikes Peak? That's next Sunday at 3:30 Eastern right here on ABC. And for the latest news and IndyCar standings, go to ESPN.com, search IndyCar. It's always a fun ride when we go to Pikes Peak as we go on board with Danica Patrick starting to move up just a little bit. Had her problems. Now she slid back to 11th. And Scott, you made a mention during the side-by-side break that Danica has been staying on that low side. You would recommend she goes up high?
Well, it seems like everybody has a better time of going up high. They keep their foot on the gas a little bit more, as we heard right there going through turns 1 and 2. That's probably the most she's been on the gas at any time going through that turn. And here comes Herta looking on the outside. But, you know, we talked about consistency as one of the keys to the race. She's now back to 10th because her car seems like it's starting to go off just a little bit. And the consistency is going to be a factor here today.
And there is their teammate, number 15, Buddy Rice. Now you see currently running in 12th, started 10th, so he has slid back just a little bit, looking for a victory as we check in with Jamie Little.
Well, Todd, you talked about Buddy Rice just a few laps ago. He lost 7 positions in just a matter of 3 laps. Scott Remke, co-team owner. Scott, what is happening with Buddy right now? He seems to be fluctuating in his lap times.
Yeah, but came off that pit stop in real good shape and got crossed up there, but now he's catching back up. The car's pretty good, and we had a great pit stop, so I think we'll be in the front here.
Well, you hate to see last year's Indy 500 winner. He is DNF 6 races. We'll see if he can make it to the end. Dr. Punch?
Guys, and Danica Patrick's car is getting better and better as the race goes on. She had an understeer in the car. The car would not turn in the corners. On that pit stop a moment ago, they added 1 full turn of front wing to provide more downforce in the front of the car, and the car turns better. She now can hold it on the bottom of the racetrack, but the car is still a little bit unsteady in traffic. Todd?
All right, thank you, Doc. Danica has the fastest lap of the race, folks, 216.7. That came on lap number 14, and I don't know, maybe the stars are aligned just right for Danica, but things just seem to be working out for her. Scott, we've seen this for Danica the first 10 races of the season. She will fade, but she always seems to come back towards the end of the race.
You know, I think they've seen a different Danica this weekend. You know, just the seriousness on her face, the pressure that seemed to be on her this morning, and sometimes that's needed. Sometimes people work best under pressure, and today, I just say it's something there about her. She just is very confident today.
Fellas, if you want to take a look at a dark horse that may be a contender by the end of this race, just watch Brian Herta. Hot off his win at Michigan, he just radioed to his crew that not only does he like his car, he's getting excellent fuel mileage. Talking about compromises again, the way this race is folding out, we could have somebody trying to do it on fuel consumption only, and that guy could very well be the XM satellite radio car.
That's a good pick, Jack. Herta started 11th. He fell to 16th. Now he's back to 11th. And this guy is, I guess, somewhat of a mad scientist because he's the guy that goes out and tests and does so much for Andretti Green. And I like Jack. I would not count him out. The young man from Valencia, California is looking very strong now, currently running in 11th.
Guy that has a tremendous amount of experience, and that's why Michael Andretti certainly want to hire him. Here's a group of cars right now with Vitor Meira on the bottom and the number 3 of Helio Castroneves on the high side. Boy, what an improvement for him. Started back in 15th, and he said the other day, I'm having an SSS session. And you go, what is that? He says a super slow session. And he said it so quickly I could hardly even understand him. He just said, I don't know what's going on. He says, I am just going so slow. We can't make it go fast, but changes overnight. This morning's warm-up wasn't bad. He's got a race car.
There you see the 2 Penske cars right next to each other. Hornish, number 6. Castroneves, number 3. And behind them is number 17. That's Vitor Meira. There's Thomas Schechter, number 4, just going out in front. Really, Penske Perfect kind of sums up this team, Scott. They come out, they expect to win every week. And I know you thought that Sam Hornish Jr. was the guy to beat at the start of the race.
So what did Helio Castroneves' crew do to that car overnight? Quite simply checking in with Rick Reideman. I asked him that question. He said, we put Sam Hornish's setup in Helio's car.
The love of having a teammate always works best. Had that before, Todd. Sometimes it works for you, but sometimes you just have to dig down deep and accept it. It might not be exactly what you want to drive, but you have to make it work.
Well, they are polar opposites indeed. Helio Castroneves and Sam Hornish Jr. Helio living down in Florida. Sam at home at Defiance, Ohio. And right now, it is Sam Hornish Jr. currently running in fourth as we get set to go side by side. You miss nothing on the Indycar Series. All the action. When we return, we'll be very close to yet another harrowing pit stop. Stay with us. As you saw moments ago on side by side, the 20 Vision car of Ed Carpenter making contact with the wall. He has come to a rest in Kentucky. Turn number 2 looks to be okay, telling his crew back on the radio that things are well. The safety crew is there, and it looks like they will get Ed out of that car. But unfortunately for Ed Carpenter, the Vision Racing team, their day is done.
And you see that safer barrier that's right up here. That is where the wall is an actual additional wall to the main cement wall, which you see, which is right here. And that safer barrier, that steel and foam energy reduction that we talked about before, has all the foam that's actually all the way along the back section here. And that's actually what helps absorb the impact. So it was actually interesting to sort of see that wall shift when the car made impact. But right now,
most important thing is Ed's out of the car. He looks okay. It looks like he's inspecting the back. Let's see exactly what happened. Watch the inside there, the 20 car.
You know something? You saw that front section break up, the right rear go down, something broke in the car. Now let's take you back to Thomas Engay. Back at Nashville, had a suspension failure, as did the number 11 car of Tony Kanaan. Remember? He turned around and the same sort of thing. Something going down on the right rear, possibly a suspension piece breaking there, but you know, they just installed this safer barrier here, and this is the first season of having the safer barrier here. The track does so much for safety here, so much to try and deal with the weather conditions they have to make sure the track is smooth. They've come along, they've grounded. Great ownership here.
Let's look at it one more time on the left side of your screen. Watch the back side just drop.
Right in this area here, you can see the left front goes up, the right rear has dropped down. The tire is still inflated, so it looks more like a suspension piece has broken or failed and dropped the car down.
As the safety crew continues to try to extract the number 20 Vision Racing car, the pits are open, the leader is coming down. Let's see if everyone jumps in and does this little party as we go in with Jamie Little.
As Danica Patrick comes down pit road, they're expected to make no changes. She says so far the car is good right now. She's having problems hearing her spotter, though. They've changed batteries up there, but all is good. She pulls into the pit stop.
Good job.
They're going to take 4 tires.
Just watch it.
Fuel, counter down. She says no changes. You see her hand there. No changes. No changes.
Come on, guys. Install. Install.
Danica had a problem. She's still sitting in the pit, guys.
Neutral. Off the clutch.
She killed it in the pits, guys. Her hands were up on the steering wheel. Jack?
A costly error for Danica Patrick as she stalls the engine once again. Typical rookie mistakes. Meanwhile, your leaders in and out effortlessly, and Tony Kanaan and Dan Weldon continue to have a solid run. Latest report coming from the accident fellas. The report initially is that the front push rod is actually what broke on the car, number 20, for Ed Carpenter.
All right, thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jamie, as they continue to try to get Ed Carpenter's vehicle off the track. And for Danica Patrick, Scott, that was almost, I don't think she knew the car was dead because she was waving to go, 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 and they had to tell her that the car was dead.
Well, I'm not sure if it was that or she was actually thinking that she was trying to tell those people. Remember, she's got some radio problems going on right now, so she doesn't have the opportunity to let them know what's going on over the radio.
Well, all 21 cars that are still active all came out. There you see Kanaan, there's Weldon, there's Schechter, and Danica stays in the pits. This is 2 times in a row the entire field has come in for the same pit stop.
Difficult situation for her, but now the key thing is going to be patience. She's got a good race car, maybe not a winning race car right now, but she's got a good race car. Have some patience.
There you see just how close it was between Tony Kanaan and Dan Weldon. Schechter in third out. Sam Hornish Jr. There's our Quaker State pit exit cam. Vitor Mira goes by. Dario Franchitti and Scott Sharp. But if you're Dario Franchitti, I guess that first turn makes you a little nervous. Make sure the wheels staying on. Unfortunately for number 20 in the Vision Racing Team, Ed Carpenter, his day is done. We will go side by side. We are under yellow in Kentucky. Saturday, the WNBA on ABC features a showdown between the top two teams in the Western Conference. Sue Bird leads the Seattle Storm into Sacramento to take on Yolanda Griffith and the Monarchs. That's Saturday, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on ABC Sports. Well, moments ago, you saw Danica Patrick having her problems in the pit stops. And, Scotty, you know, there's always two sides to every story, and we have the radio version of it. Listen in.
All right. Just watch Ed. Watch Ed. Watch Ed. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get it. It's stalled. It's stalled. Come on, guys. It's stalled. It's stalled. Come on, guys. Make sure you're in neutral. Off the clutch. Go, 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 go.
Wow.
Died on the way in. I pushed the clutch and it died.
10-4. 10-4.
All right, as they come around out of turn number 4 here at the Kentucky Speedway, the green flag is out. Tony Kanaan elects to go high. Dan Weldon drops down low, and it's Weldon first of the line with Kanaan at second. But we've got 3 wide behind them, including Schechter, Hornish, and Vitor Mira. So, Scott, now we've heard the evidence verbally, and we saw what Jack thought it was, and what do you think? It looks like Danica's slowing down.
Well, either she did not depress the clutch all the way, or she has a problem with the clutch, Todd. And right now she's slowing on the racetrack, so maybe there is a mechanical problem. It looks like she's fighting the gearbox right now on the right hand.
Check one more time for us when you get down on the apron. Check one more time on those gears as you're coming in.
Saw her working that gearbox. She'll come in and have a look at that. They're costly though, Todd. She will lose a lap. This probably takes her out of contention.
Side by side for the lead. Tony Kanaan, the 11 car. On the low side, the 26 is Dan Weldon on the outside of lap 78 as they come around one more time. Look how close they are at 213 plus miles an hour.
The brave factor, keep your foot on the gas going across those bumps. The tires are just coming up to temperature and pressure. Full fuel, so sometimes the car drags on the ground over those bumps. Drivers are aware of this right now, but you got to dig deep, as we always say, and just keep your foot on the gas and hope it works out. Look at this again, down to the tri-oval section, coming close and taking a different approach into turn 1 each time.
And folks, they're teammates. There's a lot of trust right there. The Brazilian, Tony Kanaan on the inside, Dan Weldon on the outside, number 26 from the UK. He won the Indianapolis 500 this year. And Tony Kanaan is the defending IndyCar Series champion, so a lot of skill at the front right now. For the rest of the field, it is tuck in and chase and watch them come together again. Let's check in quickly with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, after a promising beginning, Danica Patrick's day now sits on pit road. Danica was Ray Lito. Danica came in. I heard her commenting about the gearbox. What's going on, Ray?
Looks like we don't have any gears above 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to take a look at it and assess whether we're going to change the stack.
Was this related to the stall on pit road a moment ago?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. We're downloading the data. That could be why it stalled. Maybe we lost a gear on the way in, and then didn't notice it till the restart there.
All right, Ray Lito and the coach will try to get her back out, but she sits right now on pit road. They're going to try to change the gearbox. Guys?
Well, it looks like Thomas Schechter, number 4, is slowing down. Remember, he changed an engine. He was forced to change an engine last night. They said there was a little bit of leakage, a little smoke. Decided to change that Chevy engine. He came out, Scott, this morning very fast in practice.
Very strong. The motor's still running. Obviously, you can hear the car running. He's going through the gears, 60 miles an hour. The cone zone's coming up here very shortly. The black barrel's along 60 miles an hour in the pit lane. Very strange. Maybe he might even have the situation in the gearbox because the engine is running.
Guys, exactly right. Exactly the same thing you heard a moment ago from Danica Patrick. Thomas Schechter said, all I've got is racing gear and nothing else, and the gearbox is vibrating. He has now come to a halt all the way from the back of the pack to third on the field, and now a gearbox problem puts him on pit road.
Very tough, this racetrack. We talked about the bumps and everything of that nature. not only tough on the drivers, but also tough on the equipment. We're seeing that, I think, a little bit right now, Todd, with the gearbox transmission.
It's Weldon, Kanaan, and Mira, your top three as we check in down by the medical center and Jamie Little.
Well, Todd, actually, Ed Carpenter's already checked in and checked out. He's okay. We saw him hit the wall pretty hard earlier. What happened from your perspective, Ed?
I don't know. Something obviously let go or broke in the back of the car. I just turned into one and the thing swapped in on me. So got a lot of work to do in the next couple days to get ready for Pikes Peak. It's a quick turnaround. Hopefully we can turn our fortunes around there. I mean, we had a bad week a couple weeks ago at Michigan. And bad luck again here today, so we need to get it going again.
Vision Racing, a startup team this year, guys. They've had their work cut out for them, but they will be back next week. Todd?
Good to hear Ed Carpenter's okay. Dan Weldon, Tony Kanaan going 1 and 2 here. We'll be back with more as we go side by side. Weldon leads, Kanaan sits in second. On lap 88, Dan Weldon continues to lead, and we'll be back with more after a word from our ABC stations. Back to Kentucky in a moment. Welcome back to Kentucky, where Dan Weldon continues to lead, Tony Kanaan in second, and Vitor Meira closes in now on third. So it's an international affair up in front. First American, you got to go all the way back to, well, fourth, and Sam Hornish Jr.
Look how hard these guys are running against each other at the front here. Teammates, but you know, I've sort of sensed that maybe that teammate is sort of gone
fragile
here in the last little while, because, you know, Kanaan has not been happy a few times getting out of the car just by looking at him. You know, never happy to finish second, and he's always being beat by his teammates.
As we look at Brian Herta on the XM Satellite Honda, our winner at the last race in Michigan, we look at our Firestone telemetry. You like that, Scotty? You like seeing 100% throttle, don't you?
Look at that, never lifting off. Probably liking the race car right now. Great speed. Watch the G-forces climb as you start to go through the turns. Remember, not as high bank as some of the tracks we see, but 4.5 Gs, pretty high. And the tire temps right now, remember, right there in the green. Perfect for those Firestone Firehawks.
Well, perfect for him. An unperfect day for Thomas Schechter, who's standing by with our Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, after back-to-back podium finishes, Thomas Schechter has to call it a day early here with the Pennzoil Panther machine. Thomas, what happened?
We're not sure. We think some of the injectors went on the one side of the engine, so I was just down the straight. It felt like we were full stroking. I thought the engine was going to go, and I had to bring it in. But, you know, one side of the engine goes, you can't run.
While you were there, you looked like you were a rocket ship. I heard you say you were biding your time after you got to third.
I was half total, just hanging out. My right front started getting up on pressure, so you know, I backed down a little bit, conserved some fuel, and it was just it was easy at that stage, you know, just waiting, biding my time, like I normally don't do, but I was doing, and just a nice Sunday drive until that happened.
All right, Thomas Schechter calls it a day, guys.
All right, Doc. Tony Kanaan has dropped anchor, and not in a good way, as the yellow flag comes out. The 11 car, nope, no yellow. Looked like they were getting ready to wave the yellow. Here's Tony Kanaan. He makes it back on to pit row.
Running just a little higher than Danny Weldon. Little smoke coming off that right rear tire. So is the tire going down? I would say not. Looks like it's up to pressure. Remember, they had a bearing problem with that team a little while ago. So is that the problem we're seeing now?
Let's check in with Jack.
A wheel bearing problem possibly for Tony Kanaan. They're checking over on the rear side, and there is the slash across the throat. It's all over for Tony Kanaan. Another DNF.
Wow, this coming from a guy who went so many races with finishing every single lap, and I saw the flagman down there. Looked like he was getting ready to wave the yellow to shut this thing down, but Tony Kanaan, with his experience, got off. And this is shades of Nashville when they had problems with wheel bearings. Took out 3 members of the team, and fortunately for them, Dario Franchitti was able to get the victory, though.
Well, now that information gets passed along to all the other Andretti Green teams, so if he's not aware of it now, Danny Weldon will hear about it probably very shortly, and the engineers on their laptop computers inside the pit lane there will be watching all of the telemetry information, which they have a right rear tire temperature and a right rear bearing temperature sensor there. They'll watch to see if there's going to be a problem on their cars also.
Just over the halfway point, the Toyota lap leaders look like this. Weldon with 77, Tony Kanaan, it's a mood issue now with 25, but a very interesting point, as the stat master extraordinaire Russ Thompson just pointed out to me, Weldon and Kanaan have combined to lead over 35% of all the laps this season. And every lap today, that's 35%, and that is consistency. And if you're a team owner like Andretti Green, you got to like having those two guys on your team.
And a guy that likes it right now is A.J. Foyt IV, sliding around the outside of Brian Herta. Do you think he likes that Chevy power he has? He has run strong all weekend. And right now, he's running in 8th position. He actually has a bit of a smile on his face this weekend, Todd.
It's Weldon, Mira, and Franchitti, your front three, with Helio Castroneves in 4th, and we send it down to Jack, who's with a very disappointed Tony Kanaan.
And yet the first thing that Tony Kanaan did, guys, is he went to each and every one of his crew members and thanked them for the effort that they put forth today. Tony, it's so tough when you have a did not finish like this, but I wonder, is the track conditions, the roughness, is that contributing to some of these failures?
I think so for sure. I mean, we can't blame on the racetrack, of course. It's bumpy for everybody, so not everybody's having the same problem. A shame for the 7-Eleven team. We're doing a great job, man. I was protecting Dan, he was protecting me. It was a fun day. I had a good start. I was laughing, but you know, short day for us.
Now, what do you do as a teammate? Do you go and make sure that all your teammates know what the failure was?
No, of course. I mean, for sure they all are here right now, and you know, hopefully it's not going to happen to them. We have a car in 1st place, a car in 2nd place, and we're going to win this thing for sure.
Yeah, but he's not in 1st place anymore, fellas. Vitor Mira is on the run.
Vitor Mira just getting the pass while Jack was talking with Tony Kanaan, so it's Mira out in front. He gets on the Toyota lap leader scorecard. Dan Weldon seems to be happy to tuck in behind him. And for Tony Kanaan, the 30-year-old from Salvador Bahia, Brazil, unfortunately his day is done. But another Brazilian moves to the front. It's Vitor Mira. He is 28 years of age from Brasilia, Brazil. Can this Brazilian hold on for another 92 laps? Stick around and find out as we go side by side. Welcome back to ABC's coverage of the Amber Alert Indy 300. As you saw side-by-side coverage, there is debris in turn number 3. That brings out our 3rd yellow flag of the race. Vitor Mira continues to lead in a yellow situation. Everything is really frozen on the track, Scott, as far as positioning. Everyone brings the speeds down, and the safety crew will go out and make sure that debris is clean in turn number 3. Monday, August 22nd, Bill Parcells and new quarterback Drew Bledsoe lead the Cowboys against Sean Alexander and the Seahawks of Seattle. Join Al Michaels and John Madden, Michelle Tafoya for a Monday Night Football preseason special August 22nd at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right here on ABC Sports. Well, so far the pace has been rather quick. The pits are not open yet, so everyone will stay out there right now, but and now we get an indication the pits are now being open. I'm one step behind today. Can you believe that?
Well, you know, you're not sitting in the car, so it's maybe not so bad.
And you know, got to give a lot of credit to him because it is 130 degrees on the track. You're in a fire suit. You're in a cocoon, in a car going 213 miles an hour. A little dicey. Look at this. Dan Weldon decides to dive underneath Vitor Mira. Let's send it down to Jamie Little.
Well, guys, when Vitor Mira took over the lead, Bobby Rahal, team owner, came down from Danica's pit to Vitor's. He doesn't even have a headset on. He's just watching and observing. Here goes Vitor Mira. He comes in. No changes are expected. He's happy with the car. He can run high. He can run low. And Scott, we've heard it all day. That is what will win the race. It's a good stop. 7.9 seconds.
Meanwhile, the work continues on the Jim Beam car. By virtue of leading the points, he has the first spot. Drag race out of pit lane. Who will it be? Was it Dan Weldon able to come back up through the gearbox? Or was it Vitor Mira who ended that 7.9 second spot first? Looks like Mira beat Weldon to the line.
Lap 117 of 200 at pit exit. They are saying that Weldon beat Mira to the line. Scott, that was that's a Brian Barnhart where we're going to go back and take a look at that blend line, but we had so much to talk about it at Michigan last week with Brian Herta getting out the blend line before the traffic came around, before that yellow. It was almost 3 seconds. So let's look at this one more time.
Now this is the entry, actually. So right now Weldon decides he's coming in. Mira sort of held off behind, but they are actually underneath yellow, so Weldon cannot pass Mira until they get inside the black barrel, which is actually turning around and giving you the 60-mile-an-hour speed limit. Once you are inside pit lane, you are then able to actually pass cars. Now, here's the battle out. And the 26 of Danny Weldon, only by a nose, is going over the timeline, which is this line right here. And you can see the black cone that actually has a timing marker in it. And then there's also a blend line that's actually up on the racetrack, which is you can see by over here on the wall. And that's what drivers look for to blend into when they leave, and that's what Brian Hurt did last week at Michigan. But the interesting point is that Danny Weldon has the very first pit box at the very front because he's leading the championship, and Mira is in the 10th pit box.
Now, where's the line you're talking about? Right here at the barrel, correct?
Right at the barrel. The cone on the other side is the timing. We'll see this right now as we start to look at it. The timing cone, as we call it, right there, and that is the timeline. And that's what has the electronic indicator underneath the line. And the timing boxes that are actually inside the cars pick that up automatically, so there's no handhelds, no vision on this. It's actually electronic and does not make a mistake.
Initially, Vitor Meira was credited as being the leader, but now they have corrected. Dan Weldon is your leader, followed by Vitor Meira. Sam Hornish Jr. back with the restart when we return. That is the draw of side-by-side racing. We have no timeout. You get a yellow now and then, but they fire them back up quickly, as you saw in side-by-side. The restart, Dan Weldon timing it perfectly. Vitor Meira to the outside, and look at this. Another teammate has shown his hand. It's Dario Franchitti to the inside. He gets the move on Meira. He tucks behind his teammate. Dario Franchitti coming off a big win a few weeks ago in Nashville. Is this a guy, Scott, that can run the last 80 laps or so and get the victory?
Well, you know, think about just maybe what, 20, 30 laps ago, he was at the back because he lost that wheel, and he's now moved his way up to the front with some help of the yellows because it helps pack up all the cars on the racetrack, but certainly an outstanding job. But his car looks very strong right now. Was able to dispense a Meira very quickly, and now setting his sights on his teammate, Danny Weldon.
As they come to the line, it'll be 74 laps to go here in Kentucky. Your leader, number 26, is Dan Weldon. His teammate, Dario Franchitti, sits in second. Brian Herta has slid back to 16th. And unfortunately, Tony Kanaan, the defending series champion, is done for the day. Let's go back, and you brought up the point, and I know Dario doesn't want to see this again, and his crew certainly doesn't. This is after a pit stop. Dario Franchitti on the right-hand side, and oops, there goes the right rear wheel.
We talked about that, and that was back on lap 31, actually quite some time ago, so he's had an opportunity to turn around and bring himself up forward. He's had one start here and finished 6th last year. Certainly enjoys this racetrack.
As you pointed out, Scott, that happened on lap 31. Here's Dario Franchitti on lap 127. He's sitting in 2nd place. That is efficient work in the pits. And here comes Vitor Meira pushing up on Franchitti. It's Weldon, Franchitti, and Meira, your top three, as we check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, both Elio Castroneves and Sam Hornish have had the same problem with the right rear tire. They're fluctuating the air pressure. Let me show you what's happening. They're getting some blistering in their right rear tire here. And what's happening here is you watch Scott Sharp make a move in the 3rd spot on the racetrack. Great racing here, but a concern in the right rear tire wear because of air pressure fluctuations for both the Marlboro Team Penske guys.
Thank you, Doc. Dario Franchitti has now posted the fastest lap of the race, a 2:16. And look at Scott Sharp, the 8 car, part of the Adrian Fernandez team. As we said at the top of the show, Adrian unable to join us here as an owner because his father underwent open heart surgery down in Phoenix. We wish him the best, but word has it from the team that his father is resting and doing well, and we wish him the very best, and we'll hopefully see Adrian at the next race at Pikes Peak.
What a nice little chop there by Danny Weldon over Dario Franchitti. You talk about teammates right now, and that showed up Franchitti, and here comes Sharp to take advantage of that.
Good job, man.
Scott
Good
Sharp,
job.
they love it on the spotters. Scott Sharp drops into 2nd place, and Adrian Fernandez won in this car last year, so it could be deja vu all over again, and Sharp is looking for more.
Nice and easy, no pressure.
You know, the spotter sees that right now. You know, his spotter, Jeff McComb, says, let's just slow this thing down a little bit because he knows the mist in the driver's eyes right now. You can taste that lead, and that's exactly what he sees right now. He wants to have the opportunity to start leading a few laps.
Scott Sharp, maybe the most fit driver on the circuit. This guy is a gym rat. He is training constantly. His body fat is so low, it's like Scott Goodyear low. We're talking 2%.
Well, maybe 3, Todd. I thank you for that, but
37 years of age out of Norwalk, Connecticut is Scott Sharp, currently sitting in the 2nd position. Dan Weldon continues to lead. There's Sharp in the Delphi car. Super Guri Fernandez sponsored number 8.
Danny Weldon's now changed his line a little bit because
pressure. Ain't no shame in hanging out and see what he's got. If you want to stay where you're at, clear all around.
Some smart advice coming to Scott Sharp.
And Scott Sharp, I think the reason for this is he has not led all year. And you got to think, just let me get up there and get a taste of it.
Well, that's what he wants to do. The team looks at it a different way. You see, when I was mentioning that Danny Weldon was changing his line because Scott was down low, Sharp's now starting to have a look at the high side. Getting a good drive off a 2, and here he goes. Gets a bit of a draft. And takes it on the inside.
He's done it. Scott Sharp gets his first lead of the year, and Dan Weldon says, you know what? I'll tuck in behind you. The last win by a Panos chassis was Adrian Fernandez at Fontana last October, and Scott Sharp is in a Panos chassis. So Scott Sharp gets on board the Toyota leader lap board, the number 8 car out of Norwalk, Connecticut. This is nice. We knew that Sharp would break out eventually because he's so happy to be on this new team. What he's driving, he's ecstatic about it, and now he's showing it.
Honda power underneath him this year. A different style chassis. You mentioned the Panos over the Dallara. Some questions about the Panos so far this year because they changed the under tray earlier, and a lot of teams said that it changed the balance of the car, moved the center of pressure rearward, something that Doc Punch was mentioning on just a little bit earlier in the race, but a lot of teams are now starting to come to grips with it.
Scott Sharp is your leader. Dan Weldon in 2nd. Dario Franchitti in 3rd. Does Weldon show the patience that he doesn't have and stay in 2nd? Or does Sharp stay out in front? Stay with us. We'll be back with more after a word from our ABC stations. Let's take a look at our leader, number 8, Scott Sharp. As I said, Scott, he is a very fit young man, spends a lot of time in the gym, but he comes from good racing genes.
His dad, a multiple champion SCCA racing. And, you know, I asked Kim, his wife, I said, he's got this new routine of working out. She says, not only once, but twice a day. I never see him anymore. He's always in the gym.
Loves his boat and loves to race and would love to get this car onto victory lane for his team owner, Adrian Fernandez, who was unable to be with us today. Scott Sharp's your leader, and look at this. We've got some more changes. We get a look at his wife and his family looking on. It is Scott Sharp, Weldon, and Franchitti. And it looks like Brian Herta's got problems. He came down pit road moments ago. Let's find out from Jack Root what's going on.
Well, about 30 laps ago, Brian Herta, during that caution, radioed his crew to say that the gearbox was beginning to heat up. They can tell that based on the onboard telemetry. Well, the gearbox has finally given up the ghost. They have lost several of the gears. This racetrack is putting a pounding on a lot of these cars. But one guy that likes it rough is your leader, Scott Sharp. He always told me his favorite racetracks are the ones that have a few bumps. I asked him why. He said one of the reasons he thinks is because when he was running road racing, a lot of the tracks that he started on had a lot of bumps. Meanwhile, there's a battle developing, fellas, for 2nd spot.
Yeah, good one, Jack. Vitor Meira now starting to get a sniff on the outside of Dan Weldon, who's been basically concentrating all his efforts on trying to get around Scott Sharp. And now look at this, Dario Franchitti pushing up high. And there you see your Toyota lap leaders. It's Weldon with 98, Kanam with 25. Sharp now picks up 14, and Vitor Meira with 10. So we have some serious parity on our Toyota lap leader graphic.
And this starts to set ourselves up to the last pit stop, Todd. All these drivers are starting to think about this, relaying information back to their pit lane, telling them what kind of changes they want for this last and final stop that will probably be coming up to make their car race ready, perfect for the end.
Jerry Punch.
Well, so much emotion and anticipation here in the Scott Sharp pit. Tom Anderson may call in the shots. What's the strategy for the final pit stop? When will you make it, and what will you do in the car?
Well, we're going to do nothing to the car except tires. We're going to take a small load of fuel because we've already had 3 stops. It's going to be a pretty quick stop, just 4 tires and fuel. Nope, everything else for the car is fine.
Deja vu for what happened for Fernandez here a year ago.
Maybe it is deja vu.
All right, Tom Anderson down here, and you saw a moment ago Kim Sharp, Scott's wife, very emotional behind those sunglasses, starting to tear up, thinking about what could happen for her husband, who has gone 2 years without a win. Let's check in where Michael Andretti is standing by with Jack Arute.
And he's the center of the brain trust with Dan Weldon right now. One last stop, Michael. What are you going to do with the car, and how does he get back and make sure he wins here?
Get a quick stop. You know, I think track position is pretty important, so hopefully our guys here will do it.
And one of the advantages we've said, fellas, is they have the final box before you go to the under the speed limit at the end of pit road.
Well, Jack, you saw moments ago on your little monitor down there, Dan Weldon trying to get a look on the outside of Scott Sharp, and both of these guys have somewhat of a reputation for being able to run very wide on the track.
Clear all around.
Well, there's a lot of battling going on right now, Todd, because
Closing up.
you want to be the first car coming into the pits for service if you're coming in underneath yellow.
Sam Hornish is going to be first.
Come on in.
So Hornish is coming in. We check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Remember we showed you they had a problem with the tire?
3, 2, 1, shallow. Nice and easy here.
And that was Roger Penske walking his driver on the pit road. Leaders are in turn 3. Hornish having to change that right rear tire. This one indeed flustered as well. And Sam Hornish is down and away for what should be his final stop of the day.
Penske perfect, 7.8 seconds. One of Scott Goodyear's keys to winning the race today. Pit stops would be at a premium. And once again, the battle rages on between Scott Sharp, the number 8 car on the low side, and Dan Weldon, the 26, on the outside. There you see the keys, the bumpy track, the consistency, pit in and pit out. And for Sam Hornish, he just did himself a huge favor.
You know, item 3, pit in, pit out, will be especially interesting if we do our last pit stop underneath green. A lot of pressure on the drivers to come in on the access lane as quickly as possible, and then take the opportunity to get out as quickly as possible, too, faster than all the other people that are on the racetrack they're competing against.
Doc, what do you got?
Take a look at the right rear tire off Sam Hornish's car, folks. The rubber is completely gone. This is the cord right here sticking out of this right rear tire. He maybe had 3 or 4 more laps and this tire would have been gone. They have been fluctuating with air pressure all day, and obviously this didn't work. That's why Hornish had to make the unscheduled stop and lost the lap.
Well, 7 different teams in the first 8. The parity continues on lap 156, scheduled for 200. Scott Sharp is your leader. Dan Weldon sits in 2nd place. Vitor Mira sits in 3rd.
Now let's talk about that tire for a section. There's nothing really wrong with the tire, Todd. The whole thing right now is that sometimes you put in too much pressure in the tire itself. Now here we go. These guys are watching the television just like we are. And there's Jeff Britton pointing to the camera. The engineer is saying, look at that tire. He's now aware of what's going on with the right rear tire. And he's with Vitor Mira, so that's going to be something that they're going to be looking for during their next pit stop.
158 laps down, and Scott Sharp continues to lead. Will he get his first victory of the year, or will Dan Weldon steal it away from him? Stick around and find out. We go side by side. From my kind of race to my kind of town, Get Ready America, a brand new series could be taking over your town. The premiere of My Kind of Town tonight at 9/8 Central, only on ABC. Back to the racing action, and a good time indeed. It is Scott Sharp just barely holding off Dan Weldon. Look at Weldon going to the outside, trying to get a run on him one more time.
Scott Sharp is driving that car very hard. Foot flat on the gas. That lower line, remember, it's bumpy. The car starts to walk itself up the track just like that.
35 laps to go. Scott Sharp, can he hold on?
Probably does not have the best handling car right now, but determination is certainly keeping him in front.
62,595 have turned out to watch what is turning out to be one of the best races all year. It is the Amber Alert Indy 300 presented by GPS. Danica Patrick was our pole sitter. She has dropped back with problems. She now sits in 18th place. Scott Sharp is your leader, but for how much longer? He is getting the Andretti Green 2-step because Dan Weldon's on the outside, and behind him another teammate in Dario Franchitti.
Now there's some pairing going on here because the 26 of Danny Weldon on the top side above Sharp, and the 27 of Dario Franchitti teammates will get in line and help each other. Vitor Mira needs to get himself up behind Scott Sharp in the Delphi car and see if he can start to help and assist him. And you mentioned Danica Patrick, Vitor Mira's teammate, well, she's still turning laps at 216 miles an hour last lap, which is pretty impressive. The leaders right now, Todd, running 213. A fast car today, no doubt.
At 215 miles an hour, look how close they are. And Dario Franchitti has gone up high, but he saves it. They'll get a good look at this. Will this bring out a yellow? Dario Franchitti is losing power, and quick, and it does. It brings out a yellow. So, Scott, as we spin this thing forward, Scott Sharp, was he ahead when the yellow flag came out? It was almost like he was side by side with Dan Weldon. This is going to be very close.
Showing Weldon on our sheet right now, but here they go through turns 3 and 4. There is the wiggle right there of the 27 of Dario Franchitti. Is it a wheel bearing situation like they had before? We'll have to wait and see.
So on lap 170 with 30 laps to go, Dario Franchitti brings out a yellow flag. The power is almost gone as he tries to get it around. He's down in the low lane. He'll bring it into pit row. I just don't know if he has the power to get it all. Has he shut it down?
Well, it looks like it's probably still running. He stayed high coming off of 4 all the way through the D oval in the front section, all the way through turns 1. That's smarts and experience to keep the car off the racetrack in case there's any problems coming off the car, any parts coming off the car, or any fluid. But right now it looks more like a mechanical situation than it does with any type of an oil leak from transmission or engine. Visor is up. He seems to know his day is done, coming in very slowly.
Winner in Nashville, married to the lovely Ashley Judd. This guy is so talented. Not only is he a great race car driver, he flies his own helicopter, and you are right, Dario knows it. His day is done. So with the caution out, they get into single file row, and Scott Sharp indeed is in first place. And speaking of the helicopter, I had a chance to fly in back at Indianapolis. Yeah, that DF, that's for Dario Franchitti. That was a little birthday present for the missus.
Now let's go to the pit stop here and look forward for a second. Dario Franchitti is in the last pit spot coming in, but he's actually the first one leaving, which we saw that situation before, and it sort of helps him get across that timeline as we're having a report right now that it is a wheel bearing on the 27 car, much like it was on the 11 of Dario Franchitti. Now Scott Sharp, Todd, is somewhere in about the 7th pit stall. So close, but not close enough to being up the front. And the advantage, the guy in the front that we've seen before, like Danny Weldon, the crew can watch to see when the Delphi car releases and comes out of the pit lane. They can release the 26.
More than a 2-year drought for Scott Sharp. Can he turn it around here in the pits as we check in with Dr. Jerry Punch?
37-year-old Scott Sharp has not been to victory lane since March of 2003. 28 months ago, the 1996 Indycar champion is hungry for a victory. This pit stop is critical, albeit under yellow. 4 tires. They will get it full of fuel. They cannot afford a mistake here. Very, very deliberate, getting all 4 Firestones on. Get it full of fuel.
All clear, all the way. Punch your outside. And meanwhile, Dan Weldon will not win the battle out. Wow. 2 cars pull out ahead of him. Weldon, it took 2.7 seconds, fellas, from the time Scott Sharp got to his pit box before Weldon even got to his. So there's the effects of a 60-mile-an-hour speed limit on pit road.
Well, Vitor Mira may be the biggest winner there, and he and Scott Sharp almost got together at the line. But it is Scott Sharp getting out first, Vitor Mira second. Let's look at the replay one more time for Dan Weldon.
Slides into a spot, obviously in a hurry. Looks like possibly he's a few feet further forward than where he wants to be, because usually the rear tires stop at that cross line that we almost could see there. Those red lines are tape marks that are actually on the cement. A little costly for Danny Weldon.
We are coming down the home stretch, folks. We are going side by side one more time. When we come back, the exciting conclusion of the Indy 300 from Kentucky. The green flag is out, and we are racing again. Scott Sharp brings them to the line. And they go 3 wide, almost 4 wide into turn number 1. But Scott Sharp, he controls the field, Scott, and he slowed way down, expecting someone to jump him. And that's exactly what happened, almost the accordion effect, and then he shot out of there.
Actually, a nice smooth run to him up to the start of the go zone, those cones that the drivers can see in turns 3 and 4. A great acceleration. 2 tough customers behind him with Vitor Mira and Danny Weldon. But right now, let's think about 4th place, Alex Barron in the Red Bull Cheever car. What a quiet ride he's had all day, and finds himself up here in 4th, looking for this top 3 in front of him to try and catch up with them.
As we take a look at our Toyota lap leaders, things have changed quite a bit since lap 100. Dan Wilden's grabbed 105 laps, 36 to Scott Sharp. Tony Kanaan, who's out of the race, 25. And Vitor Meira, who sits in second, has had 10 laps at the front of the pack. A quick mention of A.J. Foyt IV, who changed engines this week, to Chevrolet. He is running in 6th place, started 12th, so congratulations to A.J. For Grandpa A.J., taking on 200 killer bee stings. That is amazing. Back to the front of the pack. It is Scott Sharp, Vitor Meira, and Dan Weldon as we check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
It has been 24 months since the Sharp family visited Victory Lane, and you're watching Kim Sharp watch her husband. And Kim, we saw the moisture in your eyes a moment ago. What is the emotion right now, knowing you are 22 laps away from the highest line?
Well, it's far from over, but I just think this proves to everybody that he's not a has-been and that he can drive a race car and that he's an exceptional talent. And you have no idea what this means to any of us. I mean, all he wanted to do was lead a lap and prove to everybody that he could still get it done. And I can't say enough for Delphi and Fernandez Racing for giving him this opportunity. And I just, Vitor's pretty fast here, but just to be up front and doing what he does best, it just proves he can still drive a race car, and I'm very happy for him.
You may not be able to see it behind those glasses, but there are tears in her eyes, and she is trembling here on pit road in the final 20 laps because this could be a special day for the Sharp family.
All right, thank you, Doc. I'm trembling up here because this is a great race. We've got less than 20 laps to go. Scott Sharp is your leader. Vitor Meira in second. Dan Weldon lurking in third. And as Scott pointed out, Alex Barron sits in fourth. Koski Matsura in fifth.
We heard from Kim Sharp how important it is for Scott to come back and get a win, who's already won in this series. But think about Vitor Meira right now. This is his 40th race in the IRL and so close so many times, just by a whisker at the line. And here he is digging deep to try and get this win. You think his foot's not on the gas?
It's been 41 races since Scott Sharp has won, so 40 and 41 seem to be the magic numbers as we check in with Jack Arute.
Yeah, and yet Vitor Meira has been on the scene for a couple of years and is yet to win, as Scott Goodyear alluded to. I talked to Vitor earlier before the start of the race. He said all the second place finishes, all the narrow split-second margins that cost him a trip to Victory Lane, it aided him for today. He told me, I've got the best car that I've had probably all year long. He said, I learned a lot finishing second at the Indy 500. Jack, I'm going to see you in Victory Lane because from that education, I'm ready to go here in Kentucky.
He certainly is ready to win as you look at our leader, number 8. That is Scott Sharp. Vitor Meira sits in second. Dan Weldon comes around in third. Then it's Alex Barron. Koski Matsura is number 55. He is Scott Sharp's teammate. Started 14th. He's up to 5th. So these guys must be rallying around Adrian Fernandez and Adrian Fernandez Sr. with 15 laps to go. As we mentioned, A.J. Foyt IV, what a week for their family as they make the move over to Chevrolet, and this may be the beginning of great things for A.J. Foyt IV. Currently running in 8th place, started 12th. He's up 4 positions from there.
You know, I've said before that he has a lot of talent, just needed a little bit more help underneath him. I report that Tim Wardrop has come over and actually started to help doing some engineering with him on this weekend also. What a great confidence booster for the youngest driver in the series right now.
They are encountering a lap driver right now, and it looks like Jacques Lazier, number 10. He will keep it up high. He's a class act, does not want to impede with the leaders. Gets awfully close to Vitor Meira right there, but lets them go by. So it's Sharp and Meira 1 and 2. Dan Weldon's trying to get in the slipstream, trying to make this a 3-car race, but right now it is Scott Sharp and Vitor Meira 1 and 2. As they come out of turn number 4, there'll be 12 laps to go.
214.8 miles an hour that last lap. Very close to the speeds that they were running in qualifying, just a couple of miles an hour off.
They have just told Scott Sharp, if you want to win this race, you have to stay on the bottom of the racetrack. If you keep that car there, you will win this race today. If you slide up, you may lose it. You've got to stay on the inside, particularly in the corners. He said, Roger, and that's all.
Well, Scott Goodyear, you've raced on this track. You've had the pole. Do you agree?
Well, the track keeps getting bumpier as the season goes on. It's a great command from your team to do that. Little different when you're sitting inside the seat. Remember, it's a bumpy lane down there, and you have to be cognizant of the car that's on the high side that you don't drift up and start to take his lane away, touch wheels, and then cause an accident. Now, as the tires start to wear and go off just a little bit, then the car starts to want to move around some. But it's a short stint on these tires, so right now Scott Sharp's hoping for the best, and I guarantee you, not taking his foot off the gas right now.
And at 214 miles an hour, Scott Sharp is in for the ride of his life with 10 laps to go.
Keep doing what you're doing. 10 to go, 10 laps.
Sharp, Mira, and Weldon, your top three, with Alex Barron and Elio Castroneves now in the top five. If you're just checking in with us, Danica Patrick, who started on the pole, currently sits in 17th after a stall engine and some gearing problems, but she certainly will be back next week at Pikes Peak.
Now we see Danny Weldon in third right now, Todd. Makes me wonder if he sees all this craziness going on in front of him, and maybe he's actually had a change of heart from what we saw at Michigan from the last few laps of the race. Sits back and thinks, you know something? Maybe I could turn around and collect some points here, even for third, because some competitors have fallen by the wayside, like Tony Kanaan. Maybe he's smart, not wanting to get involved in this in case something does happen between these two competitors.
He is heeding the counsel from his pits, and talk about keeping it on the bottom. Vitor Mera has got no shot of sneaking in. There's no chance of him pulling off of Kansas here. He is going to have to make the pass on the high side if he wants to get it done, and Vitor right now to the outside with 7 laps to go. Can Mera get a run on it? Sharp shuts it down.
Sharp staying on that low side, as you talked about, Todd. Comes off of turn 2. The bumps are causing him to move himself up. I think Vitor is faster in turns 1 and 2 because he gets a good drive coming off the turn and wants to get a slipstream off of 2 and looks to the inside every time he comes off. And as the cars go around the racetrack, just watch the wheel movement in relationship to the wings on the back of the car, how the track is very, very bumpy. Go along the front stretch here. We talked about those bumps. Just watch us as we go away. Right there. A big dip.
6 more laps. Scott Sharp is hanging on for dear life with Vitor Mera to the outside, Dan Weldon in third place, and Alex Barron in fourth. As they come around turn number 4, watch the bumps one more time. You know, it doesn't look like a whole lot of speed bump, but at 214.7 miles an hour, that's got to rattle the cage a bit.
Well, we talked about the transmission problems. Remember, 700 horsepower going outside these motors. As we look at Kim Sharp right now, look at her counting the laps, just going through it. And Scott right now is inside that seat. His heart rate is rising. He's counting the laps. He's listening to the car. All he wants to do is keep his foot on it, and he's talking to it right now. Todd is saying, come on, keep it going.
Kimberly Sharp has the fingers crossed, and I bet if we had a shot of her toes, she'd have those crossed as well. Scott Sharp is doing exactly what they're telling him, keeping it low. Vitor Mera has nowhere to go. Either one of these guys wins, it'll be a very popular celebration in victory lane. For Vitor Mera, it'd be his first. For Scott Sharp, it would be his first in 41 races.
3 to go.
With 3 laps to go, Scott Sharp leads. Vitor Mera is there. Dan Weldon seems to be in no man's land. He doesn't seem to be a factor because Scott Sharp is having the ride of his life.
Vitor Mera right now goes, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be second again.
Keep going, buddy. You're doing great. Closing up on the outside. Right behind you. Keep pushing. 2 to go.
2 laps to go in Kentucky. Scott Sharp continues to lead. Vitor Mera sits in second.
See those bumps coming off of 2, just abusive to the cars. The drivers, though, I guarantee you right now, Todd, do not feel it.
The white flag is out. How low can you go? Scott Sharp holding off Vitor Mera, number 17. Goes to the outside, gets a look, tries to get a run. Will this be the lap that Vitor can turn the trick?
Setting him up, having a look.
To make it happen. Look at you go, baby. Look at this happen.
Out of turn number 4, Mera takes a look at Scott Sharp at the line. Scott Sharp, number 8, the first win this season. The first win for Scott Sharp since Motegi, Japan in 2003, 41 races ago. What an amazing turn of events. 8 different winners this season. But today, on August 14th, Scott Sharp gets the victory as we check in with Jerry Punch.
Unbelievable. They're hugging down here. Kim, he did it. He did it.
Hi, Jackson. Hi, Brianna. Mommy loves you. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I can't believe it. I mean, we have worked so hard for this. We've been down in the trenches, and the sport can be so brutal to you. And I can't believe it. No one deserves this more than Scott and Delphi and everybody that stuck with him and believed in him. And this is for so many people. I can't say enough. I'm speechless. I'm so proud of him.
Go give him a big hug.
Oh, don't you worry.
Kim Sharp on her way to celebrate, and the doubters should forgive themselves because Scott Sharp never went away. He's a winner here today.
Scott Sharp takes sole position of second place on the all-time IRL career win list with his 9th career win. We'll be back with more after a word from our ABC station.
It's been a long time coming, but Scott Sharp is back in victory lane where he belongs. Yeah, it's all over me. Thanks. Scott, we talked to Kim right after the victory, and she talked about how cruel this sport can be. The dark side of it when people whispered about the fact that despite maybe a lacking package, that you didn't have it anymore. What about it now that you've proven to people just how important it is?
It's going to be a little long, Jack. First of all, Brianna and Jack, I'm coming home with a trophy, baby. Miss you, kids. I got to thank all the people who's prayed for me, you know, and there's a couple guys I know that went on a mission trip in Indonesia, and I said I would give a percentage of my winnings regardless of where I finished today. So it's going to be a little more than it could have been with the win. But where do I begin? I mean, so you're right, Jack. So many people said, all the problems the last few years, you know, when the car wouldn't go fast. Yeah, baby, you are the best engineer. I mean, Delphi, man, they were just incredible. We're in 8 seasons, I think, almost 100 races together. So just they've been tremendous. The opportunity to go here, I want to thank Adrian and Tom. Honda is the best motor company I've ever been with. This motor hauled the mail. Robert, thank you.
You can pretty much understand how you feel, but take me back to when you were in the dark side, when people were wondering if you still had it. Did you ever doubt it?
You know, I had so many people that helped me spiritually. You know, and I'm just a real spiritual person. They helped me get through that. And sure, there's dark times. Sure, you doubt yourself. Sure, you have people, you know, when you telling you can't drive anymore, all that kind of stuff. But I just, you know, every time I get in the car, I try to go 100%. And I just can't thank everybody out there so much. All of our sponsors have been just tremendous. You know, Delphi, Futaba, Bill LaFontaine, everybody out there has just been tremendous.
Scott, congratulations and welcome home.
Thanks, buddy. It's been a long time.
Unofficial results look like this as the Delphi crew continues to celebrate their man's victory with Scott Sharp taking his car to victory lane. There it is, Sharp on top, followed by Vitor Mira, Dan Weldon, Alex Barron, and Elio Castroneves, the top 5 here at the Amber Alert Indy 300 presented by GPS. Back with much more after this short break. As Dario Franchitti departs the premises, a reminder, ABC's Monday Night Football officially kicks off the NFL season Thursday night, September 8th. Tom Brady and the Super Bowl champion Patriots take on Randy Moss and the Raiders. Plus, before the game, NFL opening kickoff will feature performances by the Rolling Stones, Green Day, Santana, and many more artists. It all happens Thursday night, September 8th at 8 Eastern on ABC. As we check in now on Pit Row with Jamie Little.
Well, Todd, the one man that kept Scott Sharp honest until the end, Vitor Mira, you were all over him after 40 starts. I thought this could be it. Where did he have the edge over you today?
Well, I think they were, again, just at the right place at the right time. He had a little better last pit stop than us, and we had a really good one. But again, I mean, it was just the last lap deal I tried. Inside, he was already there, and there was nowhere else to go.
This man has been involved in, gosh, 2 of the top 7 closest finish. What is it about that last 2 laps? What do you do?
Well, I mean, you just hang there. I mean, you hang there, you study the guy. But I think the the thing that matters is position yourself to win. And the Jones Manville Menards car, we are doing that all the time. And I mean, a good thing is Honda 1-2 again. If nothing, is a team win. So it's 1-2 for Honda and for us too.
Vitor Mir could run high, he could run low, and today he finished second. Todd?
As we take a look at the results, and the points look like this in the IndyCar Series for 2005. Dan Weldon still on top, Sam Hornish Jr. in second. Tony Kanaan in third, and Dario Franchitti in fourth. Scott Sharp has moved up to fifth. So Sharp moves up 2 positions to fifth in the points. And the points leader standing by with our Dr. Jerry Punch.
And that would be Dan Weldon, who gets his 9th top 5 of the year. Dan, nice run today, finishing third. But I got to ask you, that last pit stop, what happened on pit road?
I overshot my marks, completely my mistake. I think I got a little bit excited, but certainly it was a good team effort today by everybody at Andretti Green Racing. It's disappointing for my teammates. Felt kind of lonely out there without them. It's different when you don't have those guys pushing you, but you know, all in all, I think a good day from a points standpoint. But you know, we wanted to win, but nonetheless, I think Scott Sharp did well and was very quick, and so was Vitor. So I don't think we quite had the car to beat them.
How does the points battle now affect what you do these final 5 races? 90 points, fairly comfortable. I know you like to be aggressive. Do you start thinking more and more about the big picture in the championship?
No, not really. We just got to carry on doing what we're doing. If you do that, you know, the way the point system works, they can catch you real quick. So we just continue to do what we do, and you know, it'd be much nicer to see one of my teammates in second, and hopefully second, third, and fourth. That would be good.
Hey, nice run today.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Dan Weldon finishing third today here at Kentucky, guys.
Well, as you pointed out, he gained 12 points on Hornish to extend his lead to 90. As you look at Scott Sharp receiving the accolades of winning in Kentucky. Much more when we continue from the Bluegrass State after this short break. As the celebration continues on in victory lane for Scott Sharp, we want to remind you, go to ESPN.com and chat online with our winner, Scott Sharp. It's been 41 races in the making, but Scott Sharp is back in victory circle. And, of course, our friends from Sports Center are here. 50 states in 50 days. It's the Bluegrass State's turn, and Scott Sharp will make an appearance on Sports Center. Also, Danica Patrick, who started on the pole, she finished her number 16th for Danica Patrick. She will regroup and join us again next week at Pikes Peak. Let's send it down to pit row with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Todd, with the Marlboro Team Penske drivers, Elio Castro-Neves and Sam Hornish, who finished 5th and 7th, respectively. And, guys, you started to make a move early on. That testing last week seemed to pay off.
Oh, well, actually, his setup was better, so we were able to follow his lead. And, wow, Sam, thanks, man. It was pretty good, so we're very happy, especially after 2 bad results, Milwaukee and Michigan, so we're very happy with 5th place.
And, Sam, I know you guys were trying to have long runs, be consistent, but I know that the right rear tire was a bit of a concern today.
Yeah, you know, we did everything we could during last week's practice to make sure that, you know, the tires were going to stay on it. And it was just quite a bit hotter today, you know, not you know, no overcast, really. It just stayed sunny. And the cars were sliding around quite a bit, and I think that's what resulted in that.
Second in the points, 90 back with 5 races to go. Can you do it?
Well, I think we can do it. I'm not going to give up until it's mathematically impossible to do it. But, you know, it's like, you know, that's why, you know, we're going to keep going out here and we're going to keep pushing hard. The Marlboro Team Penske guys give me awesome pit stops and good handling cars. And, you know, that's why Elio and I do all this testing so we can help each other out. And, you know, I think that we go to a lot of races here towards the end of the season where we can really help each other out and, you know, move him up in the points and also, you know, get me closer to Dan. So we'll do everything we can and keep working away at it.
2 teammates working together, both getting a top 10 today here at Kentucky Speedway. Let's head up pit road to Jamie Little.
Actually, we're back in the garages with a very happy Foyt family. A.J. Foyt, of course, A.J. Foyt, the 4th next to me. They finished 9th today. That was one of the biggest stories coming in. You guys switched power from Toyota to Chevy, so I have to ask you, why the change?
Well, for 2 years, we've been getting beat pretty bad. Before that, you know, we won championships. Kenny won Indy, and, you know, it was pretty competitive. But, you know, we just couldn't get our package with the Toyota to really run good. And I said, I've got to make a change. I know, you know, A.J. the 4th, he's a rookie. He's got lots to learn. But I didn't think we were that far off because he's won championships and everything else. But drove a super race today. It's a shame we lost 5th gear right there at the end. I think, you know, as high as up, I think is 6th or 7th. But, you know, that's a ball game. Biggest thing we finished, and he ran a good race.
Now, last weekend, we heard you almost lost your life. You were attacked by killer bees. I still see your face is a little swollen. Looks like you're feeling all right. How are you?
Well, I really feel good. Last Sunday at this time, I was watching Tony Stewart win the Brickyard, you know, and barely peeking out of one eye. So all I can say is I do feel a lot better today because last week I was really hurting.
Peeking out of one eye because he refused to go to the hospital, guys. Now, A.J. Foyt, the fourth. You're running out there with the front runners. You were up, I think, as good as fifth at some point. How was the power difference for you?
It's just a world's worth of difference. At the back, fight with the same usual guys that we usually race with, and now it's good to get up there and race with some of the top guys. And I hate we lost fifth gear there at the end. I think we could have maybe had a few more positions, but it was a great weekend for us, and just happy for the whole team. They worked too hard to be running the back like we were, and to see them excited as I am, it's just good for the whole ABC team.
It's good to see Foyt back up in the top 10, his second top 10 of the year. Todd?
Thank you, Jamie, and I'll tell you what, for my money, A.J. Foyt, Grandpa, is the toughest guy I know. Scott Sharp continues to answer questions. We'll be back to wrap things up ABC's coverage of the Indy 300 from Kentucky after this.
And back at Kentucky Speedway, the Amber Alert Portal Indy 300 is history, and Scott Sharp has broken a 24-month drought as he goes to victory lane. I'm on pit road with Alex Barron. Best finish of the year, Alex. Fourth place today. Great run for you and the Red Bull team.
We're really happy with that. We made up spots in the pits as well as on the racetrack. We're real happy. The guys did an exceptional job and the engineering staff, and hopefully we can build on this for the rest of the season.
That's the key. They want to build on this with 5 events to go. Great run for Red Bull Cheaper Racing, getting a top 5 here today. Todd?
All right, thank you, Doc. First top 5 finish since Texas in June of '04 for Alex Barron. Congratulations to him. Well, as we take a look at our final results, Scott Sharp gets it. Vitor Mira, Dan Weldon, Alex Barron, Elio Castroneves, Buddy Lazier. There's Sam Hornish Jr. and had a rough go there with a blistering, but he will be back indeed. And there you see our point standings. Dan Weldon has a 90-point lead over Sam Hornish Jr. And you saw him tell Dr. Jerry Ponch he thinks he can get it done. Tony Kanaan sits in 3rd place. Well, our next race is the Honda Indy 225 from Pikes Peak, Colorado on ABC. That's August 21st at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, and 1:30 in the Rocky Mountains. Should be a good race, Scotty.
A great racetrack, only 1 mile in length. Remember, it's a mile high. A lot of thin altitude air up there affects the drivers and also the handling of the car. They talk about slipping and sliding around the racetrack here, Todd. Well, that will be a case there. Well, they'll be doing it all day long.
I want to remind you that ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Search ABC Sports. And tonight, the premiere of My Kind of Town here on ABC 9/8 Central. Stay tuned for ABC World News Tonight, Sunday, or your local news except on the West Coast. On behalf of Scott Goodyear, Dr. Jerry Punch, Jamie Little, and Jack Root, I'm Todd Harris saying so long from Kentucky. Your winner, Scott Sharp. We'll see you next week.